Hello, and welcome to another vlog by PCP Robot. I am so excited to bring you the good news that I finally am releasing a record from an old mixtape from the 90s. The 1990s. 1996, in fact. The name of the album is called Super Mix. It's called 96 Super Mix and more. So, I remember the day I came over to see John, because we used to hang out back then. And if you don't know who John is, he's the guy who came up with the name. So he came and I had this Firebird from, it was like a 1986, like, I don't know. It was like a Firebird for a woman, I guess. It only had like a 4-cylinder. But it had a tape deck, so he came in my car and he played this tape deck, and this is the mix that he played, and we were both really into it. We thought it was cool, and it is cool, man. He was setting up a studio in his parents' basement, and he was doing stuff with tape, and that's what we did back then. We did stuff with tape. So it's really special to me, and I think other people will enjoy this mix too. He had a spirit ghost mixer. Or not a ghost. Or was it a ghost? I can't remember. I think it was just called the Spirit Studio. And it was made by a company called Soundcraft. And he had all kinds of analog bucket brigade delays and analog keyboards and stuff like that. And to me, this song, it puts you in like a passion or mood, like a science fiction movie. Like an old B film from channel 20 or 50 that would be on TV, you know, just broadcasting, you know, from the deep end or something like that. You know, and we all were really good at guitar, so we would just go and start making noises, you know, and meanwhile we'd have a guitar on our mind the whole time. So, this first song, I named it Into the Realm. This next song is track number 2 on the record. And by the way, this record is available on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, all that stuff. You can go and delve into it, put it in your list. I hope you do, because I want to come out with more cool stuff that has this PCP Robot vibe. This one's called Dimension Lion's Den.
But where am I, and what is this lion? I don't know. But where did it go? I was here, and it was here, and now it disappeared when the charm fell in the head. Whoa. It looks like there is something coming. It's a kaleidoscope. I will look through it.
Danger, Sector B.
Okay, so that was actually a clip from the PCP Robot 20-minute segment that was on a 3 Minutes of Madness episode. And I was doing an impression of our friend Dan. He didn't really talk like that, but for some reason when we did impressions of him, that's how it came out. He would say, but. So, that's a really cool scene from the movie. It would draw your attention to the segment when you listen to the vinyl, or vice versa now, and you could hear the mix and think of the original segment, or you could watch the segment and think of the original mix now that just came out. So this next song is really cool. I named it Traffic Light, and then the whole thing about the traffic light thing is it's this weird dimension where you can go and it has to do with traffic lights. So the concept behind it is that sometimes they're open, sometimes they're closed. But it's almost like really weird and superstitious, like the way they get opened. That's all I'm going to say about that for now, but check this out. So when John showed me this song, I thought it was really cool. It was on the same mix, I think, because we'd pass these tapes to each other back and forth. And if you really listen to it, he's really got a really good talent of mixing electronic music. There's stuff done in stereo. It's really pleasing and comfortable to listen to. And I believe he was using a Novation base station rack mount unit, which was this really cool thing that came out at the time. And he had used this other keyboard called the Kurzweil 2500, and that was doing all kinds of cool sampling things, and he was really getting into MIDI and controlling things. He's going to school for sound design and stuff like that, and he came with this electronic feel, and I was thinking, man, this stuff would be great in a soundtrack movie. And it ended up being a really cool song in that segment that was released in PCP Robot that time ago. So it has that same effect as the Dimension Lion's Den. This song made that segment as well. And I'll put a link in the description to the PCP Robot movie so you can, that was the segment, you know, because what happened was, we made this segment. I wanted it to be an original full-length film, but we couldn't afford actors, so I ended up doing puppeteering. And I still want to do more with this, so that's the whole reason why I'm doing this YouTube channel, is to get people on the same mindset that I'm on about doing cool stuff. You know, making little robots out of old 1960s printed circuit boards and getting parts from there and just putting things together and trying to solder things together and use hot glue and sculpting things and making art and music, analog music that's really cool. So this next track was also from the segment, and this came down to, I just needed a scene, so I made a couple robots go at it, and this music kind of suited it. Like, you dance and fight, and the music stops, and then you stop and look at the camera. And this is where the robots stop fighting and just look at the camera, and that goes back into it. And they start fighting again. First they start dancing, then they start fighting. And then it repeats a few times. It's pretty cool. So this next one is a sample that I found just laying around at the Public Access Studios. And then this other song, which is also on this segment, I call it First Encounter because it's the concept of humans interacting with the electronica that the PCB robots have for the first time. And this, when John showed us this, we were just like, what, John, are you, what's going through your head when you come up with this stuff? Like, when you think about it nowadays, you know, it's really popular to do Euro rack, you know, stuff. And I think that's really cool. But the stuff that John was doing back then was just like, dude, like this is just like way out of left field. Like, what he's, like you think of like you're inside of a circuit or something like that, and it's like funky and like mind altering, cosmic. This next song was from that vibe. This did not make the original segment, but again, I remember pulling up into John's driveway and him coming out with the tape and popping it right in my car, and he's like, dude, I just made this. And it's just like this weird ass techno beat, man, with like all kinds of chills going through it like the whole time. It's like really exciting, and he does this cool mix down. It's really rad. So I named it Trans Am because it reminded me of the Firebird that I was driving. So again, if you're just tuning in, or if you wanted to like skip through this vlog that I'm doing, this album is available on Spotify. It was released April 24th, 2024, and I'm very, very proud of it. So this next piece is a noise segment that I made, and it had to do with a couple other guys who happened to have a Moog keyboard. It was the Sonic 6, and they also had a Roland Space Chorus Echo tape delay. And I happened to have a tape recorder and a cassette tape, and I taped this sound. And I don't know if I recorded the sound before or after this idea that John had that involved a robot being pushed off a cliff, and then he slides down a rainbow and lands on a merry-go-round. But this music would interact with the scene, and I came up with an idea where there's a planet in outer space called Planet Cass Corridor, and that is named after a Cass Corridor in Detroit. And this would be the side 2 of the record album, or the side B. And I hope that people buy this stuff and help invest into it, because it would really be cool to put out tapes, CDs, vinyls, digital releases, and then play live. You have the whole 9 yards to the musical experience. The Sonic 6, man, the Moog Sonic 6, though, that's just like some kind of sonic dementia thing that, like, in my mind can't be recreated. People are saying you can, but I think the oscillators kind of blend with each other somewhat, somehow. Yeah, other keyboards don't, but I believe it does. This next song I just called Spaceship. It speaks for itself. Definitely a beat that you could dance to. This next segment, or this sound sample, is from something that I made, and it is a dialogue between robots with the theme of yellow. This is going to be a scene from the previous idea that I had, or that John had, that I used for music, where after the robot gets pushed down the rainbow, he lands on a merry-go-round, and I have some footage that I have filmed back in the 2000s era, like 2000, 2001 era. I'm still trying to work on it, even though it's been over 20 years now. I picked up this book, and it was called Make Video That Doesn't Suck, and I wrote this song. Had to turn that part up, sorry about that. This next song is not, I have to admit, is not really a PCP Robot song. It's a song that I took from John and released. That is from a clip on 30 Minutes of Madness. But it's about John. It's called Day in the Life of John Ryan. to me, this song represented everything that we were about in the 1990s. When we hung out and we jammed and we tried to be rock stars. We would just come up with cool stuff and we would show it off to each other. But John was the master. We all followed John. And it's because of the stuff that he made like this that we just couldn't help ourselves. We were just like, man, this is really cool. Like that bass. It's pretty cool. So this other idea that John had was about a robot who had a clock that was going and the clock was broken and had something to do with a flower and his petals were shedding. Like, you know how they got that time-lapse art where you would see like a petal grow real fast, but it's in slow motion. So it's like this weird time dementia thing going on with this robot. And I turned it into a rap because I have all these ideas written down. And I figured one day I was just going to like try to do a rap video segment for each idea to help the progress of the thing. It's called Rap Time. And it's funny because I use the word crop because I'm obsessed with Photoshop and you're always cropping with Photoshop. So that one of the lines is, he does not crop.
Rap time. PCP Robot Rhyme. Location sign. Like a silver dime. There is a robot who is running out of time. He cries as the clock runs out. The petals of a flower shed. And he sheds a teardrop now. The tear from his metal head. He does not crop. The flower is back in bloom. But the robot is out of time with no room. So we wait a little longer. To see if he can stay stronger. He is out of time. PCP Robot Raps Rhyme.
PCP Robot Rap Rhyme. Alright, and this is another song that speaks for itself. It's just one of John's things that he made. It sounds like California Dreamin', West Coast 1990s type thing, because we were from the 90s, and he kind of just made this happen. It's called I Want to Bite Into You. Can't compare a song to something like Star Wars where you could say there's Easter eggs, but this song definitely has like a super mix Easter egg type vibe feel, like the way he fades stuff up and makes things happen with the tracks. Like, it's an art, man, and he's a definitely talented guy, so that's some of his best stuff, in my opinion. So moving along, this is a cool sample that was off some tape in the studio, and we put our name on it. PCP Robot. This next thing is a sample from the Mold Grandmother. And this is something that John made from one of his studio processors, the rack mount things. I don't even know what it was, but I had a DAT tape at the time and I was able to record it. I thought it sounded pretty cool. I call this Starlight Communication. And this is something that John and I made. It's actually a Prophet 600 sequence run through some effects. And of course I gotta put Where Am I? If you don't know Where Am I, it's pretty good. It's about a robot who gets shot and then he gets launched into the afterlife. He realizes that he's got a soul somehow.
Yes, come in, Rainbow. Hello, Rainbow. No, Rainbow. That's all right. No, sit down, Rainbow. Yes. No, I've been reading the latest reports. Sales have been dropping increasingly. No, Rainbow, no. Now listen. You have been replaced by 674-3, code 97. Goodbye, Rainbow. We don't need you anymore.
So this is made just on a Sunday morning. I went over to John's house. I said, hey man, I want to bust this song out. We made it within 2 hours. And it was just a masterpiece. Everybody was impressed. It was like, yeah, we got to do it. And now it's out. I'm making a picture disc vinyl. I found a company that will do it. So if you check out the link to the video where it shows the YouTube version of it being spun on a record player, it's a digital video, but the record will look like that and it's going to be pretty cool. So I'm totally looking for anyone who wants to help me do this project. It's just I have a bunch of ideas about making artistic robots that is backed by awesome sounds and turn it into something cool. So thanks for checking out this vlog. I hope to do more. Please hit me up, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if you want me to try different ideas, put stuff out, you know, because I gotta keep subscribers anyway. It's what you gotta do these days. So, but I kind of look at it a little more different because this is something that I wanted to do way back in the 1990s before YouTube. So it's going to be something different than a YouTube project anyway. So, again, thanks for tuning in, and peace out.
Does not compute. Does not compute. Does not compute with me. My life must go on without my broken shell. Replant me to the galaxy. There is the light. There is the light. I see the light.